What's going on, friends? Harley-Davidson claims to be a premium motorcycle brand, and that has never been more true than here lately with their latest CEO. Now, while I won't deny Harley-Davidson isn't a great motorcycle for its intended purposes, there are a lot of things about Harley-Davidson that make them a premium brand, but at the same time, I feel like there's a lot of things at Harley-Davidson that could do better that really detract from that claim that they are absolutely premium. Now, guys, with Harley-Davidson and their new CEO, he flat out came out and said Harley-Davidson is a premium brand. We sell to a special market of customers. Well, obviously, with the prices on the bikes here lately, I would say that is definitely true. And I do have some good news about Harley-Davidson, the CEO, which I'll get to later on in the video. But when it comes to Harley-Davidson being a premium brand, they definitely have the lock on the fit and finish on the motorcycles. Nobody out there does paint and clear coat better than Harley-Davidson. Nobody else has that depth and that look that those motorcycles have. Harley-Davidson also spends an exponential amount of time on design, getting the look of the bike just right. Well, at least they used to. On the older bikes, I think they look exponentially better than anything Harley-Davidson's put out in the past few years. But that's just personal opinion. I'm sure there's some guys out there that prefer the later models over the older models. But anyhow, Harley-Davidson really does spend an exponential amount of time in crafting the look of these motorcycles, especially when Willie G was still there. Now, the other thing is Harley-Davidson, they don't typically use a lot of plastic parts like switch housings, things like that, your touch points. Those are generally metal. And speaking of metal, personal opinion here, I feel like Harley-Davidson uses a better heavy gauge of metal on everything, on their fenders, on their tanks, versus a lot of their competitors that are actually even still in the cruiser market. Now, these things are all kind of negligible when it comes to the things that maybe detract away from what makes Harley-Davidson a premium brand. Surely the price, as you all know, that is very premium. But on the same topic of the metal, I know with the later bikes, a lot of things are plastic, and I'm going to get into that. Guys, please don't forget, if you enjoyed today's video, don't forget to hit that like button, and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Now, I'm not going to lie to you guys, I feel like quality on Harley-Davidson has really slid down in the Milwaukee 8 years. They started using a lot more plastic, as we've covered in the previous video, with the plastic air intake. And not only that, maybe you guys knew this or didn't know this, they are actually using plastic lifter guides in the Milwaukee 8s. So there are some things as of late that I feel like really don't justify the price of what they're asking for the late model motorcycles. But guys, the older bikes, some of the things that really detracted from those was the twin cam 88s and the tensioner failures, the twin cam 96s with the compensator failures, just a lot of these ridiculous little issues that you honestly shouldn't have with the bikes. But if you love Harley-Davidson, it's one of those things that you just kind of look past like I do, fix it, and go on. And that's a lot of the reason why I started making videos, was because I've seen too many blown up twin cam 88s come in. Somebody bought one for $4,500 and then had to put a new motor in it that cost just as much as the motorcycle. Sometimes it was worth doing that to the bike, and sometimes it wasn't. But these are things that you don't expect from a premium brand. But on the same topic of premium brands, when you look at cars, look at BMW, Mercedes, Audi, all these expensive high-end cars that people go out and buy. They got more problems than you can imagine, and they are absolutely stupid and ridiculous to work on, not to mention the parts are extremely expensive. So maybe that is one good thing about Harley-Davidson if they want to claim to be a premium brand. Yes, they have premium brand problems, but at the same time, they're not extremely difficult to work on. Now, you take some of the other, I guess what you consider premium brands out there in their segments, like Ducatis, Aprilias, BMWs, a lot of those bikes, yes, they are expensive, but the fit and finish, I would say, is probably arguably better than their Japanese counterparts. But at the same time, they do have their issues, and not only do they have their issues, the parts are extremely expensive, and also the labor's really high to get them worked on as well. So, I don't know, maybe Harley-Davidson is a premium brand. And another thing that could definitely make a Harley-Davidson more expensive is that we could argue all day long is, do they last as long as their competitors' motorcycles out there? A Harley-Davidson will last just as long as any competitor's motorcycle out there. I firmly believe that any Harley-Davidson engine, barring any major failure points that do crop up out there, they can go over 100,000 miles if you keep up with all the maintenance and you take really good care of the motorcycle. It's no problem for a Harley-Davidson to exceed 100,000 miles. But this is where Harley-Davidson has an advantage. Yes, you pay more for a Harley-Davidson up front. That's kind of the bummer about Harley-Davidson, but you can continue to rebuild this motorcycle for as long as you choose to do so, just through the absolute sheer parts availability. You try to do that with any other manufacturer out there, and I'll use the Japanese models for example. Yes, they're cheaper. Yes, they absolutely run forever, but they are throwaway bikes at the end of the day. And it's sad to see you have a Kawasaki Vulcan, Honda Shadow, any of these metric cruisers, a Suzuki, Yamaha. It's a shame to see those bikes. They're still beautiful, clean motorcycles, but you simply cannot rebuild them because the parts are not available. And the cost to repair or rebuild those motorcycles far exceeds the value, and it just quickly becomes cheaper to just go out and find you another one that you like and throw that one in the trash. Which it is sad to see a nice, clean running motorcycle have to be torn apart and used for a parts bike to give another bike some life. And that's kind of a shame. And we don't really see that so much with Harley-Davidsons unless they went down on the highway and they got run over by a few semis, and there's just a few tidbits that are salvageable off of these bikes. So I would say that is one way that we can kind of justify the cost up front of a Harley-Davidson, because even if you're buying used, you know they're exponentially more than a lot of the metric or any other manufacturer out there when it comes to buying a used Harley. Now, new, these days, it's pretty much a crapshoot. They're all pretty much in the same category as far as price. But honestly, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I think I would either buy a Harley or even an Indian, because they do tend to hold their value better than any of the other manufacturers out there. So guys, I mentioned the CEO earlier in the video. A lot of these problems, I'm just going to say, were caused by the CEO as far as the premium brand stuff, and we're only going to sell to a certain group of people and not try to get an ass on every single Harley, which I thought was total BS. But I was happy to hear, I found out that the CEO is going to leave Harley-Davidson. Not the way he should have left. He's going to be able to retire with his golden parachute after he's pretty much effectively slashed the entire model line and drove prices up on Harley-Davidson, laid off a bunch of people, and shifted manufacturing to overseas, and whatever else he's done with the big debacle we had a couple of years ago. I'm going to say right now, I am not sad to see him go, and I really hope that Harley-Davidson learned a lesson, and we can right the company. And maybe, heck, who knows, maybe we'll see some of the models that got cut brought back. I would love to see the Softail Deluxe brought back. I would love to see the Fat Bob brought back. Who knows going forward? This could be an exciting time for Harley-Davidson. Maybe some big changes. Maybe they'll start dropping the prices on some things, and we can get back to those old days where you could get a Sportster for under 10 grand and not at $99.99 like Harley-Davidson's touting right now, which is almost kind of laughable. But guys, I need your opinions. What do you feel about Harley-Davidson as a premium brand? Do you feel like the fit and finishes are really enough to overcome some of the engine problems that you can run across in these bikes? And on some of them, it really is guaranteed. And other ones, you got kind of a little percentage of a shot there, but not happening to you. But let me know your thoughts on that down in the comments. But anyhow, guys, that's all I've got for you this week. If you guys enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. But till next week, guys, you stay safe on the streets, ride smart, dodge those cars. I'll catch you guys back here next week with a brand new video. Thanks for watching.